Welcome to the Interesting Football Podcast. This week, our focus is on Premier League new boys Brentford, as we seek to uncover the most interesting club in England. I'm joined by former A-level economics student Simon Day. Mr. Day, how are you? And what are your first thoughts when somebody mentions Brentford?
My first thoughts at the minute are how obscure are your references to me going to get by the time we get to Wolverhampton Wanderers. But in terms of Brentford, they're a bit of a ghost club to me. And by that, I mean, I've been to Brentford twice to watch them play Gillingham. I have absolutely zero recollection of either match.
Oh, really?
I don't mean that in a way I was drunk sort of sense, but genuinely, I can't remember either of the games. I looked them up this week because I could vaguely remember what seasons they were. And I'm still not entirely sure what games they were, but I've definitely been to Griffin Park twice.
Well, I definitely can remember the time I went to Brentford because a Brentford fan shot a fireworks at the Sheffield Wednesday fans on the other side of the train station on the way home. So that's not really something you forget.
Well, did it cause any issues?
No,
Was it a good aim?
No. I mean, it was a rubbish firework to be fair, but it was, it was good enough to make people scatter. But there we go. So happy memories. Other thing also about Brentford, I would say, when my brother used to work on Soccer AM, that was obviously the local team. So it was always quite a good day to go to watch Soccer AM, just be in the crowd in the morning, go to the rugby club opposite from the studio, hang out with the celebrities for an hour or two, and then go to Brentford afterwards. So, I've got some pretty good memories of that place.
That's a good Saturday morning. Well, Saturday all day, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Had some good times there. Had a drinking session with David Hurst and Dean Windass once, which was not quite a boyhood dream of mine. But
I imagine, no offence, they're probably better drinkers than you.
Yes, David Hurst. Yeah, I mean, he's rumoured to have drunk 10 pints the night before the FA Cup final replay.
Isn't there always it wasn't that like in the 80s and 90s? Every club had a player who did that for every cup final. I think there's a pinch of salt with that, to be honest.
Possibly.
Unless it's one that Gascoigne played in.
Right.
I'm not entirely sure I buy it.
I mean, Hurst. I don't know if you saw him after he retired. Within about 3 years, I mean, the guy was about 150 kilo. Like he ballooned, and that I think he's a big drinker.
Well, he always looked like one of those players who you could tell he was having to try really hard to keep his weight down. Well, you could, you know what I mean. You could see players who you could quite easily get fat here, couldn't you?
Right.
You're clearly big boned or whatever. You're clearly it's hard work to keep your weight down here, but you're doing well, mate.
Right,
as soon as you retire.
He did address his weight down the pub. He just said, think about it. You just spend your entire life just running around 5 hours a day, 3 or 4 hours a day, trading during the week and all this. And then you just suddenly stop and your metabolism just drops. And he said, I wasn't really doing anything different, but boom, there we go.
There we go. Right.
Anyway, on that note, Simon Day, I believe you have the first of 3 amazing facts about Brentford Football Club.
Fact number 1, Brentford are the current holders of the London War Cup.
The current, I like that's a very ominous. So London War Cup, we need a few more details about this.
This was 1941 to 1942 they won it. They oddly, despite the name of the cup, they beat Portsmouth in the final at Wembley in front of 69,000 people.
Oh, Adolph's boys missed an absolute sitter there, didn't they?
Well, that's true. Which is still the biggest ever crowd for a Brentford match. Now, clearly this is going to change possibly this season. But obviously when they had their big season getting promoted to the Premier League, they didn't play at Wembley in the playoff final. So they've never actually played in front of a bigger crowd. So the London War Cup was, not surprisingly, not that high in quality due to the amount of players who'd been called up. But as it goes, Brentford did well because they only actually had one player killed during the war, which pretty good stats compared to most clubs.
It's crazy sorry.
Yeah, they did have the problem because there was a London War League as well, which they had a bit of a problem in because they didn't have a goalkeeper. So during the 30 games of the season, they had to use 8 different goalkeepers.
They've done well to win the cup, to be fair.
absolutely. They conceded 76 goals. So they didn't have a goalkeeper. They conceded 76 goals. They scored 80, and they won the London War Cup. It was then disbanded after that season because there just wasn't enough players to go round.
Wow. I mean, so does that mean we need to get another war going on for Brentford?
Well, I'm thinking when World War III breaks out, my first sort of thoughts will be which Brentford players are going to get called up and who can sort of.
But it is crazy to think about footballers getting called up to go to war, because now, obviously, I'm pretty sure if there was a third world war, they'd be, they wouldn't get called up. There'd be, the fact that like when the coronavirus thing kicked off, the only people who got tested were politicians and Premier League footballers at the beginning, right? Right.
I could see Harry Kane representing us in the war. He's got that look about him, hasn't he?
I suppose so. But oh well.
But equally, there's so much, most of the players, certainly at Brentford, are probably from countries that there might be no sign. Who knows what will happen?
I mean, the manager Thomas Frank, where's he from?
Thomas Frank pops up in number 2.
Okay.
We'll be learning a bit about Thomas Frank in fact number 2.
Okay.
So I'll keep that up the sleeve for now.
Because what I was going to say about players being treated with kid gloves, i.e. not being sent to war, I can't believe I was about to use that phrase.
Yeah.
I remember there was a time, I think it was at Wolves, this was probably about 15 years ago, when they had fireworks as the players lined out, came out, and one firework fell down and flew into the crowd and hit an old lady who then had to go to hospital. And I just remember the BBC News, reporting on this and saying, fortunately, it didn't hit one of the players. Wait a second. Fortunately, it didn't hit a really healthy man in his mid-20s. It just got an old woman, BBC. Is that really what you're reporting at? And that's, so that incident there makes me think we wouldn't send players off to war.
No, I'm pretty certain we wouldn't. In fact, I think, if World War III was about to break out and you didn't want to go, I think, try and sign up for as a professional footballer. It's probably your best bet of getting out of it.
I'll bear that in mind. On that note, let's head off to your quiz this week. It's on a knife edge. It's 1-1. I won the Arsenal one. You won Aston Villa. And now we've got the Brentford quiz, although there's very little Brentford in the Brentford quiz. Good. So Brentford went up last year, 2021, as the Championship playoff winners. Mm-hmm. Now, between 2010 and 2020, 10 different clubs got promoted via the Championship playoffs. Okay, so it's 11 seasons, one team went up twice. Who are those 10 clubs? Now, I think this is a pretty tough one, but of course, you can just keep spamming kind of like yo-yo teams. So, I've gone for par. I've gone for par as 6 for this one. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. But your time, Simon Day, starts now.
West Brom.
No.
Oh, well, that's ruined it. Derby.
No.
Hull City.
Yes.
Oh, thank God for that. Sheffield United.
No.
Oh my life, this is getting terrible. Birmingham City.
No.
West Ham.
Yes.
Oh my God, this up. Wigan.
No.
Oh, hang on. I can't think it's in the you put me in the. How did Burnley go? Did Burnley go up that way?
No.
Brighton.
No.
Stoke.
No.
This is ridiculous, isn't it? This is just so embarrassing now. Who's got Bournemouth?
Nope.
Portsmouth. No, that's a rubbish guess, isn't it? Man, this is like people. No one's going to listen to this again. Are they? Nothing about football. Wolves.
No.
Middlesbrough.
No.
Oh my God, I forgot some obvious one. Leicester. How did they go up?
Leicester. No. And that is your time up
that's
as well,
isn't it?
That was 2. I'm surprised. Okay.
What time am I?
From 2010, we got Blackpool, Swansea, West Ham 2012, you got Crystal Palace, QPR, Norwich, Hull City, you got who beat Wednesday in that final, Huddersfield Town, Fulham went up twice.
Oh, Fulham I should have got,
and Aston Villa.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, that's that. Honestly, that's pathetic.
Oh well.
That's like, that 4 over par? That's like a sort.
Yeah, that's completely damaged your goal difference, that one. But
Well, I
there
think
we
if
go.
we're talking pars, that's like a couple of lost balls into the lake, isn't it? And sort of, I'll probably be picking up my ball and going on to the next hole at that point. Yeah, that's perfected.
I'm going to let you save face now by giving us your Thomas Frank fact from number 2.
Thomas Frank quit his previous club, Brøndby, in Denmark, where he's from, after discovering that his chairman was using an alias to go online onto a fans forum to slag him off.
That's a wonderful fact.
Yes. Basically, yeah, Brøndby were 5th. They were struggling a bit. They were 10 points off the lead. And he was having a bit of a tough time with his chairman. But then it sort of, some newspaper sort of scooped this story. And because, for whatever reason, the chairman was using his son's account to go online, using a pseudonym, and just posting abuse of him on there.
So how did they find this out?
How did they know? I have no idea. I assume it was top investigative journalism by the Danish version of The Sun.
Because that reminds me of the Republican politician. Do you know that one on Twitter? Like this
No?
white 6-year-old politician who there was a thread going on underneath one of his tweets, and he obviously forgot to change to his burner account because he then just jumped in with, I'm a gay black man and Obama has done nothing for me. And it was still like the same guy with the blue tick as well. You know, he's been verified like this Republican senator.
But, I mean, there was, like, after this happened, Frank did the obligatory interview that was like, if you want to state the obvious on this one, he said, yeah, clearly at this point it's like our relationship was breaking down. I was like, well, yeah, probably. But it's not going great, is it, if he's going online using a pseudonym and trolling you, basically.
This is an amazing fact, but I feel it gives me more questions than answers. I really want to know how it was found out. I kind of want to know what things he was saying as well. Do we have any details on that?
I found this very hard to find much information on, apart from sort of a couple of 100-word news articles. There's nothing in depth about it. I don't think it was anything particularly juicy. It led me to think: is this sort of a widespread thing? Do you think?
Well, ironically, Brentford, I think, are unique, or but anyway, they recently introduced a policy where they actually go around looking at other clubs, their fans forums, scouting for players. Because the theory being that, well, you know, the club's fans are going to know better than anybody else. So yeah, Brentford scouts literally go around scouting through other clubs' forums. So maybe Thomas Frank introduced that. Maybe when he was being absolutely slated from his chairman's son's account, he just thought, wait a second, this is a little bit humiliating, but I've got an idea here.
Yeah, so now next time I'm on a Gillingham fan forum and I spot someone called like Thomas Trank joining, I'll be wary about sort of saying how good our players are. Are you a fan forum user?
No, I used to use the BBC. Was it 606 back when forums were a big thing in the early noughties, and also back when I had an office job.
Yeah, clearly, I feel like social media's blown it out of the water, really, hasn't it? A lot of fan forums. So, why would I sign up to Gillingham fans online or whatever when I could just take to Twitter or Facebook and air my grievances?
Right. I mean, I signed up to Owls Talk a few months ago because there was a post about me from TikTok, my slagging off of Sheffield United. So I joined up just for that, but I haven't actually looked on it since. You think Owls Talk is funny? I think the funniest name involving the owl. Do you know the Sheffield Wednesday hooligan group's name?
No.
The OCS, or the Owls Crime Squad, which
that sounds like they're on the side of the law, doesn't it?
I know that's what makes it so funny for me. I know it's such a bad name, but there we go.
Yeah, it sounds like they're sort of some kind of vigilante group, or it reminds Ocean Colour Scene. OCS.
Oh yeah, and you've got that security group. It's called OCS. You'll see the OCS sign all over the place. Always gets a little giggle out of me being a small child, but there we go.
Yeah, so if there's any Sheffield Wednesday hooligans listening to this, I feel like you need to rethink your marketing. I feel like it's not the message you want to be getting across, is it?
Indeed. But from
And also,
bizarrely,
I've never heard of them, so they're clearly not high up in the hooligan
no,
world.
no. I think the BBC, the Blades business crew, certainly for a long time, they were the top boys in Sheffield.
Yeah,
Apparently,
I've
I
heard of
read
them.
on my internet forums.
I've heard of them.
So, from bizarrely named hooligan groups to a bizarre fan. Now, we've had some good bizarre fans. I mean, Osama bin Laden. Then there was Prince William and David Cameron getting the joint award.
Yeah,
I'll be
Brentford might be
honest
more difficult.
with
Yeah,
Brentford, there was more emphasis on the word fan than bizarre. Because there were some rumours that Cameron Diaz was rumoured, but as we said off air, it's very tenuous. I mean, she knew someone who might support for it. Yes, it's nonsense. But I did find one. I don't know about bizarre. There's one celebrity who's a diehard, passionate Brentford fan, and that man is Dean Gaffney.
Oh yeah, that for me beats Osama bin Laden.
In what metric does Dean Gaffney beat Osama bin Laden? I really want to hear this. Go on, spit it out.
It amuses me more. I know a friend of mine is a sort of I don't know if he does a bit of acting, and he once spent an evening in the pub with Dean Gaffney, and he said Dean Gaffney was a lovely chap, but Dean Gaffney had the issue where he got signed up for EastEnders when he was really young, and he was part of a family, the Jacksons, and he got a really fat 10-year contract or something.
Right.
But because he was really young, as sort of same with all child actors, you don't actually know how good they're going to be as actors, do you? At that age.
This is true.
So after a few years of sort of being involved in plots and whatever, Gaffney got kind of pushed to the sidelines a bit. So the last few years, but he was still under contract. So the last few years of Gaffney being on EastEnders was just him and his dog Wellard in sort of, and he was like the bin man or something.
Right, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't really integral to the plot. He was just sort of, he'd pop up in the cafe or whatever, or wandering around the street, but he was under contract.
Wow, some good insider Dean Gaffney knowledge, that is.
Well, yeah, and also, let's face it, what else have you seen Gaffney in?
Apparently, he was in the bill. I had a quick Wikipedia of Gaffney. Sorry, but yeah, there we go.
Dean Daphne.
On the subject, good old spoonerisms. Yeah, on the subject of kind of naff 90s celebrities. I know we've spoken about this off air, but I feel like I need to recount the worst story anyone's ever told. Where a secretary I knew back in my KPMG days. I remember her really excitedly coming into the office one morning to tell me my boyfriend's brother went out to this club in Romford last night, and apparently Dane Bowers' brother was there. Which,
that's
20 years on, I probably still think about that story once a week, just because it's got to be the worst story anyone's ever told. But
for many, it prompts a lot of questions, doesn't it? None of which lead to interesting outcomes.
I mean, it wasn't her. It wasn't even her boyfriend. It was her boyfriend's brother. It wasn't even Dane Bowers. It was Dane Bowers. And also the fact that it was just a reported sighting. I mean, that for me is that apparently...
It wouldn't even get in that. What was that magazine? That weekly sort of celebrity magazine where there'd be a page of celebrity spotting. It'd be Heat magazine.
Oh, right.
Heat magazine. It'd be like, oh yeah, I've just seen Barry Chuckle coming out of WH Smith's in Rotherham. Do I win £5? Yeah, I feel like Dane Bell's brother wouldn't even qualify for that, would he?
No. And there's another magazine article. The one time I ever bought Woman's Own, I remember getting, actually almost at Brentford, getting on the central line towards Ealing Broadway and overlooking a lady's shoulder, and she was reading an article titled "My Affair with Barry Chuckle Almost Cost My Marriage." And I mean, how do you not buy that magazine after reading that title?
So yeah, I know. I think we've discussed this before, and I do. I either I subsequently have bought the magazine or seen it via somebody else. But the best bit about that story was that the dad, who was clearly upset about this, said, "I wouldn't let my child watch Chucklevision anymore. He was upset and confused."
Wow.
Which
it's the kids, the innocent ones, aren't they? Anyway,
they're the ones missing out, really. So Dean Gaffney, before you said Dean Gaffney, who I thought you were going to say?
Go on.
Phil Collins.
Yeah, Phil Collins. I don't think that's that. Again, I do my research for the Bizarre fan. I don't think he's really a Brentford fan. I think
Don't. I think he dabbled when he was a kid, and then he moved, and now he probably don't really like football, does he?
Right, I know. He was helping out Jimmy Greaves when Jimmy Greaves was when he was dementia he had when he first was diagnosed. He was helping out Jimmy Greaves. He's talking about being a Spurs fan, how Jimmy Greaves was his boyhood idol and all this. So I mean, I don't think what's his face counts, Phil Collins.
But Gaffney's like he's red and white through and through.
Yeah, apparently so.
He bleeds it, does he?
Him and Wellard. Yeah.
Wellard, yeah.
So, Mr. Day, that's enough about Dean Gaffney and Dane Bowers' brother apparently going to a nightclub in Romford. Can you give us fact number 3, please?
Fact number 3 is that the 2006 Nelson Mandela Challenge between South Africa and Egypt took place at Griffin Park.
Okay, sorry. The 2006 Nelson Mandela Challenge between South Africa and Egypt. What sport is this?
This is football.
It is football. Okay.
The Nelson Mandela Challenge is an annual match between South Africa and another team to raise money for one of Nelson's charities, and it's been taking place since the mid-90s, and it's always taken place in South Africa, except for 2006 when it took place at Griffin Park, Brentford. In front of 2,500 fans.
Do we know the reason for this?
Well, the only reason I could find was it was during a period where they were playing a lot. There was quite a lot of minor international friendlies being played in Europe to cut down on travel costs and travel time. So around the same time, Jamaica played a couple of friendlies at Loftus Road. But for some reason, South Africa and Egypt played the Nelson Mandela Challenge at Griffin Park. It's a bizarre thing. Egypt won 1-0, goal after 4 minutes. Apparently, the vast majority of the crowd were behind Egypt. I don't know if Brentford has got a big sort of.
I mean, if there's only 2,500 people there, I mean, does vast majority even mean anything? I mean,
but I sort of think if I was local and I knew South Africa were playing Egypt, I'd head down there.
I think not many people share your view there.
Well, no, clearly they don't. People like Kidderminster's my local club. If I discovered that, I don't know, Paraguay were playing Saudi Arabia there tomorrow night, I'll be straight off down there.
That's a bizarre fixture: Saudi Arabia versus Paraguay at Kidderminster Harriers. I could honestly say that if they were playing in my back garden, I'd probably watch Netflix.
No, I love it. I went to in the 2006 World Cup. I went to Paraguay versus Trinidad and Tobago.
Nice. Yeah, it's different. It's at the World Cup. For me, it's more about being at the
World Cup.
I'll
be honest. I'll be honest. It was one of those where we got the tickets like 2 years in advance. Didn't know what we were going to get. We're sort of excitedly watching the draw, thinking, Brazil, Italy, maybe even an England game. No, we got a Togo game and Paraguay versus Trinidad and Tobago.
And whilst those aren't the greatest games in World Cup history, I mean,
they weren't.
It's still the World Cup, right? But I mean, would I watch Paraguay, Saudi Arabia at the local team? Yeah, not for me, I'm afraid. No disrespect to all the Paraguayans and Saudi Arabians listening to this podcast.
Okay, and the Nelson Mandela Challenge, which I kind of think the word challenge devalues a competition immediately, doesn't it?
Right. Yes.
It's almost like the word shield. I think that devalues a competition immediately.
It does. Probably not as much as the words Papa John's.
Well, no, that's true. What's that's trophy, isn't it?
Papa John's trophy, I believe so. Yes, and I know Wednesday Wednesday 1, 2 out of 2, and I would go to Wembley for that. I'd be, I think it would. I think for me, it's a very pointless competition unless you get to Wembley and then you just get a cool day out. That's the way.
I'm up for any Wembley bandwagon, to be honest. But we lost to Ipswich this week, putting our hopes of progress in jeopardy. But it was like I don't know, the crowd was about 1,000, but there's still people on social media afterwards, like slagging off the referee, saying we should have had a penalty and whatever. And I just think, does it matter? Really?
Right, yeah.
Really?
You know
We
what?
lost
I
2-0,
saw the
maybe
Wednesday.
we should have had a penalty. Who cares?
I saw the Wednesday winning goal after 93 minutes, and you looked at the crowd behind the goal. And at first, I thought it was the Mansfield fans with just a few Wednesday fans in there, but no, it was the away end. It's just people literally didn't care that much. A 93rd minute winner, a few people put their arms in the air, like that. Even the people at the game didn't really care.
Yeah,
there we go.
To be honest, many a time at a Gills game, we've scored, and I've not even been bothered to stand up.
That's pretty bad. I'll be honest. As I'm disappointed in you for that.
Well, no, there's just some games I'm like consolation goals. I can't get up for consolation goal.
Okay.
I don't understand these people.
I'll
I don't understand the people who cheer them. It's like cheering in a pre-season friendly. It don't matter, does it?
Yeah, I think for a consolation goal, I'm more of a just like, you kind of like slowly get your foot, hey, and just like a slow clap, and just, it's not even a cheer, it's just, that'll do.
What they don't do in football, that they do in the NFL, and it really annoys me in the NFL, is when a team's getting thrashed, and it's like the game's over, and they're getting thrashed, but they score a touchdown. The players will still celebrate as if it's really important.
Right.
They'll still get their touchdown dance out or whatever and go around like chest bumping each other, even though they're like 48-7 down.
But to be fair to the NFL players, aren't individual stats a huge thing for their careers? You know what I mean? Like my team might be losing 49-0, but if I get a 40-yard touchdown pass, I look really cool. So I'm still pretty pleased with myself.
Yeah, but it's a team sport.
It is, but
I just think
it's a franchise system, really. How many of them are doing it for the love of the franchise?
Yeah, there aren't many like, oh yeah, I'm Green Bay through man and boy. But yeah, there's not much of that going on. But yeah, it just annoys me.
Although I would say Green Bay are probably the only example where that's not true, or one of the only ones. Because isn't that the only fan-owned club?
Yeah, and it's actually compared to sort of pretty much every other franchise. It's not that big a place, Green Bay.
Right.
It's a very it's steeped in tradition, Green Bay.
Well, those are our 3 facts for Brentford and Dean Gaffney.
We covered that.
So what do you think in terms of the most interesting club? I mean, Brentford, they are Premier League new boys. It was always going to be a tough one, wasn't it? Arsenal are the lineal champions. Brentford, do you think they're doing any damage to that lineal belt?
I think Brentford are doing more damage in the real Premier League than they are in this.
Right. No, I agree. Probably more damage as well in the London War Cup. But yeah, in terms of the most interesting club, Arsenal have still got Herbert Chapman and Osama bin Laden in their ranks. So it's going to take a lot to knock them off the top spot.
Although I will say the Thomas Frank fact might be my individually favourite fact so far.
Agreed. I agree with you on that one. What do you think? Brighton Hove Albion next week? Any chance of a winning run from Brighton Hove Albion?
I suspect Brighton are the sort of club that do have quite a lot of interesting nuggets you could churn out on them. And I reckon they've got some good celebrity fans as well, Brighton.
I'll be honest, I'm a lot more excited about the week after and Burnley, because Burnley, that's a club steeped in tradition, which suggests to me there are some absolute beauties from back in the day, back when footballers were real footballers.
Yeah, they had a game where like 7 players were sent off from each team.
For smoking.
Yeah, and it still finished 0-0. Yeah, there was stuff like that.
Well, Mr. Day, it has been an absolute pleasure, and everybody else, I hope you join us for next week and Brighton Hove Albion. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.